Let's do it.
It's a no look. It's like, bam, we're live. Let's go.
Love it. Love it. Love
Welcome
it.
back, everybody. Peter Ostrasser, Disrupt Education. I got Derrick Griffin, DGSax.com. What's going on, bud?
Oh man, can't complain. I got a little getaway last week. I was in Vegas. Got a chance to see 50 Cent live. Shout out to a
All
legend,
right, there you
50
go.
Cent.
Super Bowl
Yeah,
performer.
incredible performance. He
Yeah.
still got it. Hasn't missed a beat, honestly. Energy was great. So it was nice to be on the listening side as opposed to performing for a change. And
Yeah.
it's always nice to kind of see that from a different perspective because I feel like you can take away a lot of different things from different artists and different creators performance, how they approach it,
Yeah.
what's their presence on stage. I think all those things really factor into a good performance. So
Yeah.
good time, good way to get away before the season really kicks off because
I knew you were
you can
somewhere
see though.
because if you follow this guy, everybody, DG Sax
Yeah,
underscore,
yeah,
I saw some
yeah.
palm trees behind you. So I'm like,
Oh
this dude is
yeah.
somewhere because there's no palm trees. Well, in Chicago, I'm sure there are some, but like,
Right, right. Where?
outside and whatnot. So, well, that's
Yeah,
cool. So firing up into this next season, it's a heavy season, man. I mean, we're
yeah,
in
man.
the end of April, beginning of May here. Um,
Yeah,
so my first question is you kind of have a routine that you go
yeah.
through. Is there something that you're adding or subtracting from that routine going into an event for 2024, the big season, which is summer?
Yeah, yeah. I think the key to any good season, right? I'll start here first, is like you got to be hyper organized. I don't
Mhm.
care who you are, if you're a creator, a teacher, you've got to be prepared with what's going on. You got to be prepared for the unexpected, right? You got to be updated on current events and what's going on, right? If traffic's backed up, like how does that affect your timing and your
Mhm.
preparation of getting there? If you've got to set up equipment, like there's so many different things that I don't think event planners maybe think of highly, and from a musician, perspective. And, so you just gotta plan for these things because at the end of the day, when you get there, they just want to know that you're present, you're on time, you're ready to go, and that it works. Everything works. The music works. The laptop's not going to crash on you. Like they just want to know that everything's going to work. So you've got to prepare for all those things. I think the one thing that I am adding into my repertoire is almost like a meal plan. I know it sounds crazy, but like for me, it's important to replenish. There's a lot of days this year where I've got multiple events on the same day. So being able to really take advantage of the time in between events and fueling my body in a very positive way, right?
Mhm.
Because I don't want to have heavy meals. I want to be able to feel energized for each and every event. So looking at electrolytes and things of that nature that I can really consume in between events so that I'm at like full strength and really making sure that I'm ready to go for each and every event. For anyone who's ever seen me perform, I play at a high level. I don't
Mhm.
just sit there and stand in one place. I don't sit and play a ballad to a mic stand. I have a clip on mic and I like to interact with the crowd. I like to engage. I like high energy. And I feel like that's what's going to give everyone the best version of who I am and what I bring to the table. And I really feel like that's what differentiates myself from a lot of musicians out there.
Yeah, you're way ahead of the curve, dude, because when you get in your
Yeah.
50s, you really have to start looking at what you're eating. I totally get it. And I think that's awesome
Yeah,
because,
man.
you got
Yeah.
to fuel that up. And by the way, again, I mean, I'll just say it again.
Yeah.
If you go to DG Sax underscore, you just follow this guy, go to dgsax.com, get all his socials, you will see a high energy guy, which that makes sense because I think before
Yeah.
you were just kind of like power barring it and kind of doing that, but
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
finding that's very, very important. One thing
Yeah.
you also mentioned here is just it's so me. I mean, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
rather
Yeah.
sit in a parking lot for 10 minutes early rather
Yeah.
than cruise up like with 2 minutes to go and jump out and get things because that
Yes.
destroys everything, I think. So in that,
Yes.
I do a lot of worrying, right? Like there's when something's
Yeah.
a little bit far out, I'm a
Yes. Yes.
self-admitted worrier.
Yes.
I try to
Yes.
go over things in my mind over and over. So I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you on the second part of that, when you come in, is there certain types of, events that you may have one right now in October that you're like,
Sure.
oh man, you just kind of outthink it or overthink it. Does that ever happen to you? And if so,
Yeah.
why? Why not? I don't know.
I think it's two-sided. It's like, okay, when I've played for new clients I've never played for before, or it's just a completely different experience. I remember like there was one year I played on a party bus for the first time ever, and I didn't know how that was gonna go. I was like, man, I just hope the audio is gonna sound okay. I hope like the speakers are quality, everyone can hear the sound, evenly. It turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to turn out. As you mentioned, I can tend to over worry or over concern myself in certain situations. So I start to realize that less is more. But I think as I've been able to play for bigger logos like Party Slate and Grey Goose and Chicago Cubs, it definitely has built my confidence to know that like I belong in this space.
Mhm.
And you sometimes get the head nods like, "Oh, who's this guy?" Like I've never seen a saxophone player play over Taylor Swift or Dua Lipa and all these other amazing artists. But I think once you get on that stage, the energy just kind of takes over, and like you're in the moment. Like you can rehearse as much as you want for something, but it's never going to go exactly how it is when it's game time. The performance is just you're living and you're breathing in the moment. You're also figuring out how to make timely adjustments, because what you may have thought or anticipated what was going to be the performance going in, you may have had to make a pivot, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes making those key pivots, even in your work when you're in education, like keeping people locked in on what you're saying, keeping everyone engaged, right? I think that's a huge thing that has played very well when I've been in sales, as well as looking at the music side. They've kind of went in tandem with one another. So yeah, I mean, when I think about upcoming performances, I know I've got one coming up in June that's been officially locked in, L'Oreal Cosmetics. I want to give a shout
Mm,
out to them.
nice.
Really looking forward to their gala dinner that they're going to be hosting here in Chicago at Navy Pier. That's a big name.
Mhm.
There's going to be a lot of international faces that are in the audience. First time me being exposed to a lot of CEOs of international companies. So I'm more so embracing that, and I
Yeah.
think for me it's just always bringing that same level of professionalism, right? Just being who I am, understanding that first impression goes a long way, and it's been a very unique process just talking to the client, learning about their needs, and I feel more prepared than ever, from previous experiences too that I've had. So looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, you remind me, this reminds me of, it's a little bit morbid, but it's a great movie, an old Steven Seagal movie where his
Yeah,
quote was, "The anticipation of death is always worse than death itself." So I think
yeah,
the
yeah.
anticipation of something is usually worse because
Yes.
you're over worrying it.
Oh
Not that
yeah.
we're talking about death here, but like events
Yeah,
or
yeah,
interviews or whatever. So, and
for
once you
sure.
get there, just believing in yourself, man. Great words from you. Everybody out there, let me tell you, this guy is probably almost all the way booked for 24, but
Getting
keep
there.
out there. You can be second on a
Yeah.
list. Take a look at some different things. DGSax.com. Man, thanks a lot for sharing it out today. My name is Peter Hostrasser, disrupteducation.co. Reach out to us, man. We're right here on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube here. We're here. Check us out.
We're here, man.
We're making the music, man. Making the music.
That's
So,
that's right. That's
all
right.
right, guys, we'll see you next time.